How's it going, Raider Nation? It's JT coming at you with another episode of the East Coast pregame show with my friend. We're back. NJ Raider Nation, how are you doing today, NJ?
Pretty good. Pretty exciting weekend last week.
Yeah, that play, that beating the Patriots was chef's kiss. Wow. It was beautiful, especially the way it happened. Bill Belichick's team crumbling, making crucial mistake after crucial mistake, and especially that last one was awesome.
Yeah, I think it caught everybody by surprise. Like you said, for it to have happened in that way to a Bill Belichick Patriots team was, the cherry on top. But man, I think Raider Nation, I think the Raiders, they're really feeling themselves. I think that gave a lot of motivation going into these last 3 weeks, crucial weeks. If we want to make any sort of playoff push. So I think that was a big jolt of energy that was pretty well needed. So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, we really have to make that push. Facing a very stingy Steelers defense going into Saturday's game at night in the freezing cold, like below zero, wind chills. Derek Carr 0-6 in games below 34 degrees, East Coast game, Christmas Eve, and we all know what happened to Derek Carr last time he played on Christmas Eve. It was not fun. And yeah, it's just it's very not a fun environment to go into, especially with the recent unfortunate passing of Franco Harris, who they are honoring at halftime. So that's going to be that juice. Play it, win it for Franco, win it for him. We had that juice last year again with John Madden passing before the Colts game. We won that game for John Madden. So you already know they're gonna have that juice to win it for Franco.
Yeah, it's I'm a big Derek Carr fan. I'll try to support him, but when it comes to the cold, there's nothing you can say about Derek Carr. He is just has not had a good history in the cold. Growing up, playing ball in California for most of his football career and now Vegas, it's just, It doesn't treat him well. So that's, like you said, that is not a good thing for this game to be as cold as it is projected to be. And the Franco Harris thing is, I think for the most part, the Raider players, they know the history of the Immaculate Reception and everything. And I think, at least going into it, I think that the boost, I guess, the honorary part of it wasn't going to really affect the Steelers and Raiders necessarily unevenly. I think both teams really felt the history and the honorary moment of that. But now with the passing of him 2 days before the actual, or 3 days before the actual ceremony and honoring of him, now I definitely think that is, like you said, it's going to play that, let's do it for Franco Harris kind of thing. And so, they're going to be juiced up.
Yeah, as you were saying, and as I mentioned about Derek Carr, that's literally one of his biggest weaknesses is cold weather games, because he's never played in the cold. He, like you said, Fresno State guy. He grew up in Texas, grew up in California, never really an East Coast guy, but we do have the advantage of having Josh McDaniels, who's coached a hell of a lot of cold games playing in Gillette Stadium over the years. So I'm hoping that will make a difference for this game, because in years past, we've had coaches that aren't necessarily East Coast guys. I don't know where Dennis Allen came from, or JDR. I don't really remember. But John Gruden was never really a cold weather guy. He was Buccaneers and obviously the Raiders. So he probably doesn't have as much experience in the cold as McDaniels does, which should hopefully help. But I think it's definitely going to be an ugly, gross, terrible game, unless somehow Derek Carr puts on superpowers and is able to beat the cold and just throw for insane touchdowns and stuff like that. But I think it's just mostly a rushing and defensive game.
That's a really good point with McDaniels. I think that will be a benefit. And then also with the way this team has shown our cards, they're a running heavy team. And I think that Josh Jacobs, I think he gets into that different zone when he's faced with something like the cold element. And I think that'll encourage him to just go ballistic. And so with those two things in mind, I think that definitely will help Carr's case and the Raiders case. But either way, they're a West Coast team, and coming to the East Coast, and it's cold, below freezing weather. It's going to be tough. It's going to definitely be tough, but I'm excited.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a good game. It's either going to make my Christmas or ruin my Christmas.
On Christmas Eve,
it's gonna be like, we lost, and like,
yep.
You're gonna be opening like some presents from someone that has Raider stuff, and you look at it, you're like, we suck. We're out of the playoffs. What the hell? But I'm obviously gonna be happy to get stuff either way. But talking about Josh Jacobs, recently named to the Pro Bowl for his second time. His first time was in 2020. We also got Max Crosby, Devontae Adams as Pro Bowlers. Daniel Carlson and AJ Cole were snubbed, in my opinion, but they should hopefully be alternates at some point. Especially AJ Cole. Townsend is not as good as AJ Cole, not even close. But talking about the game and just talking about the playoffs implications of this game, obviously we need to win out to even have a chance. And if we win out, we have somewhat of like a 54 or 60% chance or something like that to make playoffs, just winning out. And we need a lot of other things happening, which are Dolphins or Chargers need to lose 2 of their next 3 games. So let's start with that. Let's take a look at their schedule. Dolphins, they have the Packers on Christmas Day Eve game or afternoon game. Afternoon game. It's the first game. And then they have Dolphins at Patriots and then Jets. So how do you think the Dolphins will fare during that stretch? Do you think they will lose 2 games, or do you not see them really losing 2 games?
Well, I'm trying to get their schedule up right here. Who do they have this coming week again?
The Packers in Miami on Christmas.
Yeah, in Miami. So I think they should be able to handle the Packers coming down. Packers, they haven't been playing too well. Rodgers, I think, losing Devontae Adams has really affected his season. I think a lot more than people, originally thought. That the new kid, I believe his name's Watson. He's looking pretty good. Christian Watson, I believe. So he's doing all right. But, it is the Packers. It is Rodgers. It is a great coaching staff. So you can't ever rule them out. If they were to come down Christmas Day and beat the Dolphins, I wouldn't be so surprised. But right now I'd be leaning towards Miami being able to hold them off, and then the Patriots, and then the Jets. I mean, all 3 games
are tough.
They're kind of toss-ups in my perspective. And with that said, if they to lose 2 out of the 3, I think that could be pretty likely. So
between the Chargers, because the Chargers are facing the Colts, the Rams, and the Broncos. Between those 2 teams having to lose 2, I think the Dolphins are more likely, but the Chargers are known to charge things, so they could just randomly lose to the Colts and then to the Broncos in Week 18 or something like that. And I think I think Miami is a much better team generally. Than the Chargers. So with that in mind, I feel like the Dolphins can make a run, make sure they win the games that they need to remain, get their playoff break. And I think that might be more likely than the Chargers. But like you said, I mean, the 3 teams you mentioned are, not that great. So even though we lost to 2 of them, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. But, again, Chargers are also a toss-up for me. It's between Chargers and Dolphins. It's like, okay, let's just see what happens. It's hard to predict.
And then the last thing we need besides us winning out is the Patriots, Jets, and Jaguars need to lose 1 more game each. And the Jets and Jaguars play tonight, which is the night we're recording at Thursday night. So by tonight, we'll know if one of them wins or loses. And if they tie, it doesn't hurt us. It actually helps us. It's fine. As long as they tie or one of them loses, it's basically whatever happens works for us, is what I'm trying to say. And then the Jaguars face the Texans and the Titans. So I'd almost rather and then the Jets face the Seahawks and the Dolphins. So I'd almost want the Jaguars to win or actually lose tonight. And then the Jets will have a higher chance of, losing one of the next 2 games more than the Jaguars.
Yeah. Cause, Jaguars, between Jaguars and Jets, I think the Jets, their defense, I can't get over how good their defense is. I think if they had a better quarterback and a little more control on offense, I think they would have an absolutely great team. But their quarterback situation is just not good. So I think the Jaguars have a chance to keep winning. So like I agree, I would I'd probably, and the Jets are just too inconsistent. I think they'll lose probably 2, maybe 3 out of their next 3, honestly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I probably would agree with that then.
And then the final one, the Patriots. I mean, they're facing the Bengals, the Dolphins, and the Bills. If they win all 3 of those games, they deserve to make the playoffs at that point, because that's a tough stretch of games, and I think they just lose this weekend against the Bengals. That's just straight up, like, I don't think they beat the Bengals. So,
and with that loss last weekend, the way it happened, that kind of stuff just kills teams and kills motivation. So
yeah, so I think that our path, we'll see how it after this weekend. Again, at this point, we just got to focus on winning out. That's what we got to focus on, because we can't control what other teams do. Take it one game at a time and hoping we win this weekend. Looking at the Steelers team as a whole, they've had a pretty mid to bad offense this season, but their defense has, as usual, been really, really good. TJ Watt is back from injury. Somehow he made the Pro Bowl with 4 sacks, but whatever. But yes, their offense is only averaging 18 points a game. They're allowed 22 points a game. And then our team right now, we're scoring 24.1 points per game, and we're also allowing 24.1 points per game. So we're at even. This is, I think, the first time all season that we're at a +0 in terms of point differential. In terms of that, I think our point differential is actually pretty solid, because of all the close losses that have been very depressing. But our defense is definitely worse than theirs. Obviously, that's 2 more points a game. And then they have a top 10 rushing defense. They have a solid pass defense. So it's really going to come down to, can our offense actually move against the Steelers defense? Because eventually even our defense won't be able to hold the trashy Steelers offense, and eventually will crumble, because that's just what happens. So the offense definitely needs to make sure they control the game with the run game and make sure that Derek Carr can make the passes that he's asked to make.
Yep. And the recipe to winning is, it's pretty obvious. Cold game, and with everything, and how Carr is not the best in cold weather, and how Jacobs just got in the Pro Bowl, and how good he's been this season. It's clear we just need to run the ball, like you said, control the clock. And if we can do that, we'll be good. Quick note on TJ Watt coming back, and he's been getting a little shade for making the Pro Bowl with the 4 sacks. I think this this could be one of those games where he puts that chip on his shoulder and does not like the stuff that has been said about him, and Carr will be on the receiving end of that. So yeah, I could see him walking away with like 2 to 3 sacks this game. I really could.
As long as he doesn't get injured, because last time we played him, he got injured, and that's a big reason why we won that game, because he was a game wrecker that week 2 of 2021. But yeah, he's definitely a game wrecker. Not saying that he's not a good Pro Bowl level player, but his season wasn't Pro Bowl level this season. But clearly, he's obviously a really, really good player. The defensive player of the year last year, stuff like that. Tied the sack record, all that stuff. But yeah, he'll definitely be the difference maker. And then we got to hope that, which I think he will be, Max Crosby on the other side will also be a difference maker, along with Chandler Jones, who's had a resurgence in the last few weeks. Just 4.5 sacks, some forced fumbles, some pass deflections, and of course that game where against the Patriots, which was just freaking incredible. Just a historic play by him for a future Hall of Famer. But yeah, hopefully our D-line is the way we'll win this game, with Andrew Billings most likely coming back as well. Should be able to handle the run game, I think, pretty well with him coming back. And then our pass rush has been hitting home, except for last week. But then again, we're facing a pretty good rush defense and just O-line in general. And they game planned around our pretty decent pass rush the last few weeks.
Yeah, I feel really good about the defense going into this game. Kenny Pickett does not intimidate me at all. Najee Harris, I think, is a great player, but he hasn't. I feel like he hasn't done as well as he should be doing. And I haven't followed it too much. I'm not sure if I don't know the numbers of runs versus passing and all that, but a new quarterback, they've been switching back and forth. That kind of stuff kind of messes with just offenses in general, building chemistry and getting into rhythm. So that's probably the reasoning. But yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried about their offense. I just hope that our offense can get going, and stay going, because, if we pull one of those, we're up by 10 points
Rams.
going into the halftime, and, 13 points more specifically, then, I won't feel comfortable. And, actually, I'll feel the opposite. If we're
13-point lead, this was great.
Yeah, I'd actually rather be tied or down by like 3 going into halftime, so we can stick with, that aggressive drive, because clearly when we're up by, 10 2-score games, something clicks and they bring out a whole new playbook. They bring out a whole new scheme. It's like a whole new Josh McDaniels comes out, and we've seen how that ended many times this season. And if that repeats on Christmas Eve, I'm turning into the Grinch.
Dude, I mean, it's something that can definitely happen, because like we've been talking about, Derek Carr is struggling. He hasn't had a really great past 3 weeks. I mean, he had the 3-touchdown game against the Patriots, but 2 pick sixes in 3 games, and you can argue whether or not it's his fault or not. 2 pick sixes still happened. He just hasn't played super well, in my opinion, the past 3 games, and it clearly ended in a loss for one of them. I think the defense has really stepped up and played as well as they can, with the talent that we have and the injuries that we have, to Rocky Sin and Andrew Billings, which are 2 big defensive players that were missing the past 2 games. But yeah, I think that the defense will do fine against this offense. Najee Harris is only averaging 3.7 a carry. He has 211 carries for 790 yards and 6 touchdowns. So that's not good stats at all. Kenny Pickett, 4 touchdowns, 8 interceptions on 191 attempts for 1,700 yards. It's just not, he's just not playing very well. Their offense,
he needs another year or 2.
Yeah, he's a rookie and stuff like that. And they don't really have great talent. I mean, the Deontay Johnson's okay, and Najee Harris is just disappointing. But yeah, our offense needs to be the reason why we win this game, because the defense will do their job. I think they will. I think they will hold the Pittsburgh for as long as they can. But if the offense is going to continue to sputter in the second half, like it has been the past 3 weeks, then it's going to cause issues and probably cause a loss, and then our season's over.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely going to be on the offense.
Yeah, this offense needs to step up for sure. So with all that in mind, with all this talk, playoff talk, defense, offense, Derek Carr, cold game, Franco Harris, Immaculate Reception game, Christmas Eve, -8 wind chill weather, what do you think the final score will be?
So I'd probably go, it's going to be a low scoring game. It's probably, hopefully we could get a couple scores in. So probably 17-14 Raiders.
17-14 Raiders. So what I'm going to go with is I'm going to go with a 16, which is a really weird score. I know, 16-13 loss Raiders.
Okay, so you said loss last week, right? And we talked about
we
this.
Won, baby. We won, and I said we win against the Rams, and we lost. So I'm still keeping. I actually genuinely believe we lose this game. Like, this is not just. I actually thought in my head that we could beat the Patriots. The Steelers, because it's such a cold game, I think Derek Carr might have one of his worst performing games ever. He'll still have like a touchdown and stuff like that, but our offense will just completely die after the first drive or 2. And may I point out that I was kind of right about the offense having a really great first drive for the Patriots, our first couple drives, and then we died, and we did. But yeah, so obviously Derek Carr coming off a 3-touchdown, 1-interception game. That sounds great in theory, but he did not play a good game at all. Like, he did not play well, in my opinion. I think that's going to be the difference maker. I think they're going to key in on Josh Jacobs, obviously. I think Josh Jacobs is still going to go off for like 80 plus yards and probably a touchdown. But I think that Derek Carr will be the difference. And then that the Steelers suffocating defense, especially the pass rush against our right now slightly injured O-line. We're still not sure who's playing and who's not this week. But I think that'll be the difference maker. I don't think Kenny Pickett is going to do anything. I think it's going to be the defense, and then Najee Harris just getting a touchdown, like 2 touchdowns maybe. I don't know. We'll see. I don't know the exact scoring, but I think it's going to be the Steelers defense is going to be too much for the Raiders offense, especially cold Derek Carr.
So my hot take going into this game is, it's not that hot of a take, but Josh Jacobs gets a 50-plus yard run.
Okay.
And I think, that will bring all the juice and I'll hype up, they're all going to be cold on the sidelines, whatever. And I think that's going to be the turning point of the game. And, in the show next week, we'll talk about it and we'll see. I'll say, that was the turning point. Cause I think I could see, the offense moving slowly. And, if the Steelers pack the box and he breaks away, I could see a big run popping off. So I think that would be good.
I also think that this is how it's also going to go. This is like, I just picture this in my head. I'm like, oh my God, I can see this happening. So it's 13-13, right? The Steelers are kind of driving. They get a field goal. We get the ball back with like less than 2 minutes left. We drive down. We struggle to drive. We're like clawing inch by inch down the field. And then we line up to kick a tying field goal because we couldn't get the touchdown, which is very frustrating. But we're like, all right, let's send this to overtime. We snap the ball. TJ Watt comes off the edge and blocks the field goal. If that happens, I'll be fucking pissed. Oh my God, dude!
You sound like a Steelers fan's dream.
Dude, that is a Steelers fan dream. Like, yeah.
Nah. What did Gruden always say? We're what nightmares are made of.
We're what nightmares are made of. Yeah, that's
so
that's a nightmare for the Raiders. My God. I would be looking at TV like just like, oh my God. Now that I picture that, I can't get it out of my head. Now I'm already pissed and it hasn't even happened yet. All right. But let us know down in the comments how you think this game is going to end. NJ, of course, is 6-8 on the season in terms of record prediction because he always predicts the Raiders to win. I don't know what mine is. I got to look back and check through because I've definitely have a better record just because I probably have a same record because I always predict us losing and we win. So I'm okay with that. But anyway, let us know down in the comments what you guys think. Definitely check out NJ Raider Nation on Twitter at NJ Raider Nation 0. And then on YouTube, go link in the description down below. Go subscribe to him. He makes good content. And yeah, subscribe here, like, and a comment, like I said. Follow me on Twitter at Condor Season. And I hope you guys had an absolutely fantastic day. Happy holidays and peace out, Raider Nation.